I want to talk about sex and what I see going on out there in the culture of sex. We are humans. We are the evolution of our animal self. Okay? But our sex is still very much like rabbits. Except, as humans, we have an understanding that we have a visionary quality that rabbits don't have. This visionary quality we have seen in humankind. There are many, many visionaries, creative minds, genius minds, very innovative, revolutionary, and they help humanity mature. And yet our sex is kind of a downgrade. Rabbits are different from us. Just like many, many animals, they're different from us when it comes to sex. Rabbits have sex because it's their habitual nature to procreate. They're not concerned about being visionary or creating the next generation of creative minds. They're more about procreation. It's very simple, it's very subtle. But us as humans and humankind, we are the evolution of the rabbit. Okay? Sex to us is not just about procreation. It's about innovation. It's about reinvention. So when we have sex, it's like rabbits, okay? Where, rabbits, they can have multiple mates, okay? Where they have children, like kind of like, some dogs, where the breeders of a dog, that female probably will have different males that she has babies with, okay? But as humans are not finding that very fulfilling, that animal habitual sex. We're not finding sex based on impulse, based on survival, based on primitive pleasure, very satisfying, because it's like quick. Think about rabbits, or think about like dolphins. Sex to them is like, oh, there you go, pop, there you go, you're pregnant. We don't want that. That's why we try to drag out sex. We try to do all kinds of weird stuff. That's why we have such a incredible billion-dollar porn industry. Because we're trying to find all kinds of funky ways to have sex because we're quite bored. Okay? We're bored. That's why we need to hang each other upside down or whip each other. We're trying to make sex exotic and regal. That's what we're trying to make it. Because we understand to be exotic and to be regal is captivating. We want to be captivated by sex. Rabbits and dolphins, it's a different ball game for them. But we are very much still in that habitual, I would say habit. When I say habitual, I mean habit. Habit is very much impulse or survival. Okay. I have a habit of procreating because that's my urge. I have an urge to do that. Okay? Not necessarily for innovation or for reinvention, just the urge. I need to fulfill that urge. Okay? And that's their blueprint, but we're not. We have our own blueprint as humankind. And our blueprint as humankind is the evolution of what we would call procreation. We have within our genetic code to invent and to innovate an entire generation. Not just in bearing children, but also when it comes to our creative person power, our sovereignty, our creativity, and our responsibility. So the dilemma with sex culturally, okay, not just Western culture, but all over the world, is responsibility. That's the great dilemma. We don't take responsibility for our urges, our impulses. Okay, I'm feeling an urge that like I said, that habitual survival. When you feel like an urge, like I just need to go for that. I'm feeling horny. I need to fuck. That's an animal urge. Okay, that's an animal urge, that's an impulse for excitement. We all kind of like, I need excitement kind of thing. And when we don't have responsibility, there's no maturity. And when there's no maturity, particularly in sex with humankind, because we are emotional beings, we're very emotional beings because we're humans, and yeah, we're very emotional. What happens is we disrespect each other. And everywhere around, I'm seeing great disrespect between men and women and men. For example, women, we are naturally more intuitive than men. So we can sniff out if a man is ready to have a kid or not. Okay? But the very fact that we're having kids with men who are very immature, very unresponsible, it's because we are in denial. Okay? And when we live in denial with our intuition, particularly as a woman, we are never fulfilled in a relationship, not even sexually fulfilled. Okay? Women decide the direction of sex for the culture, for the generation. And since we have lived thousands of years, basically kind of like slaves, sex slaves, all that kinds of stuff, as women, we don't know what it's like to have leadership over our own bodies. We don't know what it's like. So we're very easy if a guy says, okay, suck my dick. We're like, okay, I'll suck your dick. I'll make you happy. Okay. Or if a guy says, I want to whip you or bend you over. We're like, okay. And this even could go for men as well. Men who've basically been violated by their mothers growing up may be very submissive to a woman who says, I want you to lick me here and twirl me here and pound me there. And a guy's like, okay, I'll do it. I'll submit to you. We've been in this domination and submission for thousands of years. Like I said, the patriarchal age is about 12,000 years. And before that, we were at a transitional period, which was about maybe 4,000 or 5,000 years, okay, where we kind of, leadership changed from the matriarch to the patriarch. And then 12,000 years was very much patriarchal rulership. Okay? But during that patriarchal rulership, we as women, we basically lost all our rights. And we see millennials and even people, these young kids, these young girls that can actually be an astronaut or could be a successful businesswoman in the future. She can even be president. She could even be the CEO of a corporation. That is never happened ever for 12,000 years. That was never anything. Just now, in not even 100 years, not even really 50 years. More like 30 years on this planet, right? 30 years of 12,000 years. Women are now having leadership over their body, over their intelligence level, over their creativity, over how much influence they can have on religion, on politics, on education, on economics. Just 30 years. Not even. We're not even there at the 30 years, like out of 12,000 years. That is... And yet, we as women, we're starting to kind of rise up, okay? Because that shows us as women that we've done this before. We've been in leadership over our bodies, our intellect, our creativity, even when it comes to the society. We've been in leadership before, so we remember it. We can recall this period before the 12,000 years, okay? More like 20, 30,000 years when we very much were very regal. We were exotic, we were regal, we were spiritual leaders, we were revolutionaries, we were quite inventive, innovative. We actually have that embedded in our cellular DNA. It just has been kind of, what is the word? It has been off circuit by the domination submission. It's off-circuited us. It's confused us. It's scrambled us to think that that our role to play is very much the rabbit. Okay? We are the impulse to the man's pleasure. We are the impulse to procreate, to survive. We must survive. And a part of that is you got to get that habit. You got to obey that habit. You got to obey that impulse. You got to act upon that urge. Okay. So when you see a berry tree, you're walking through you gotta eat all the berries because you don't know when you're gonna see a berry tree again. But we're not like that. We're not living in that period anymore. But that's how we still are acting towards sex. That berry tree, I'm gonna eat all the berries on the tree, but I don't know if I'll ever see a berry again. So when it comes to sex, women, right now, we haven't really made a decision about what sex is for us. So that's why sex is kind of a free-for-all. And when I mean free-for-all, it's like it's anything down, okay? And a lot of women, even young girls, there's this culture of violation, of disrespect, okay? Because when it's just a free-for-all, it's like kids. When it's a free-for-all, there's just chaos. There's no organization. There's no boundaries. The kids are just jumping off the walls. They're just tearing up the classroom. Because when there is no direction, when it's just a free-for-all, when I mean free-for-all, it's like you can just do whatever. Just do whatever. Okay? Do whatever. For children, that is the most unproductive thing. The classroom by the end of the hour will become just a great tornado of just stuff everywhere. A great, loud, like obnoxious, irritating. We know that as teachers. So a part of sex is a similar way. Whereas women, we set the stage. We're like the teacher. Okay? Because the dynamic between us and man is entering us. So they're coming into our classroom. We're not going into their classroom. And we don't really think of that like, oh, the penis is entering the vagina, not the vagina is entering the penis. So a man is entering to a woman's temple. He's entering into her classroom. So when a man's entering to her classroom, she gets to state the rules because it's her classroom. Just like any teacher classroom, when you go into their classroom, even if you're your teacher and you have your own classroom, you are respectful of their rules, even if they're different, even if they're contradicting, even if you don't really like them. You're respectful of them because that's what that teacher established to create some sort of order within their room. Okay, even if that order is, longevity or just kind of short term, depending on your perspective. And that's our relationship with men. Okay, so when we see like the great disrespect and what causes the great disrespect or violation, okay, where a man can just come into our classroom and just kind of leave whenever he wants and come back and leave. In education, we can't do that. A kid has to stay for the whole year or stay for at least, we'd think like for, 6 months unless he or she has to move. But usually it's not I'm in and I'm out and I'm in and I'm out. You can't learn that way if you're in and out and you're not consistent. So with women, I feel that we've it's a free-for-all. Like, if you're consistent, then okay. But if you're not, I'll be okay. That's a great disrespect. Because there can't be any organization if a student, for example, is coming to your class one day and then doesn't come the next day and then he comes like whenever he wants. I can't really teach you anything because you're not really consistent. You're kind of just hopping around. Okay, so I see a lot of relationships where men are very much like treating sex like it's a free-for-all, where I can like just do whatever I want. And the reason it's like that is usually because of the teacher. It's always because of the teacher. It's always because of the leader and the lack of leadership. So when we are having a leadership over our sexuality, okay, creating boundaries, creating like kind of like our vagina is like an institution, and it's not just you do whatever you want to me, okay, it becomes a sense of rhythm. So we want rhythm with sex, and that's why we're not really satisfied with sex, and that's why we're doing it more and we're doing it longer and we're doing it in weird ways because we're trying to find that rhythm, that ecstasy. But anything of ecstasy, it's like a rhythm. You get so in sync with an innocent, pure rhythm that isn't forced, that isn't manipulated, that isn't controlled, either through substances or through watching porn or whatever. It's just pure, natural rhythm. So subtle. So subtle. But a lot of our sex is not subtle. Okay? We think subtlety in sex is boring. Okay, but you don't need to pound it out like rabbits to feel that ecstasy. The reason we're pounding it out is it's more of an escapism. We're trying to escape the blocks that we have that's preventing intimacy. So instead of actually being subtle and actually breathing deeply, which is very intense and overwhelming to have that sense of eye contact with somebody for like an hour, like literally just looking into their eyes, no sex, and just to feel that vibration, to feel that resonance, you can feel almost like that heat. And it's not even sex heat, it's like heat of just looking into their eyes and feeling like something rising with you, like you feel this furnace. You feel like this flame igniting inside of you, and it's like, whoa, energy. None of us feel that whoa energy in sex. Most likely we do it, and then we feel kind of like unfulfilled after. And then we like, well, let's try it again. We'll try it a different way this time, and maybe it'll be better. Oh, that didn't work out. Okay, we'll try it a different way this time. Maybe that will feel good. No, that didn't work out. Okay, we'll do it this way now. And you're like, oh. So when I see people who have like multiple partners and like sex, there's just all these kinds of people, and still they have that hunger in their eye, like they're so hungry. It's because they're not having exotic or regal sex or intercourse. They're not actually blessing themselves, and they're not actually blessing the other. Blessing is just like prayer, any form of meditation, or any form of like dance, or even people who play opera or in the orchestra. It's through consistency with it. Rhythm, like the ocean, it's gotten so rhythmic because it's been there. It's practiced its form in a very subtle way. So if sex becomes an intention, like I need you to give me attention, or I need you to give me attention, there becomes this battle. Like battling for each other to please the other, to make them stimulate some sort of orgasm. We're kind of fighting, like, I need orgasm, give it to me, I'm going to fight for it. And I want orgasm, I'm going to fight it for you to give me orgasm. And I know women and men have experienced this. I know it, okay? And what that does is it just creates this sort of battle where somebody wins. Okay, either the man, he wins, he gets his orgasm first, and the woman's just kind of laying there like, oh, I didn't win the fight this time. Maybe next time I'll win the fight. So the next time the woman's trying to like do it faster or do it in a different way because she wants to get orgasm first. But when she gets orgasm first, the man's like, oh, I lost the battle this time. So that's how we see like orgasm. Like it's like some sort of battle I need to fight to win. But that doesn't create any sort of ecstasy. It creates like this inner competition. And that's totally arrhythmic in sex. It's very arrhythmic and very unfulfilling, because subtlety of sex is a blessing, and blessing is not something you fight for. It's receptivity. So we treat sex like we treat our businesses, like we treat even raising children, even like relationships, where it's something you have to almost fight for. It's like this struggle, okay, like to keep it hot, or it's like this struggle. But sex is not that. It's like the Venus energy. Like think of a Lakshmi. It's receptivity. Okay? And receptivity is subtlety. And the reason humanity, we're finding it very difficult to actually experience what we call it a heart, a throat, a cervix orgasm. You know, do we actually think about that? No, we don't think about that. We just think about the clitoris being triggered into an orgasm. Okay, the penis ejaculating, that kind of thing. But when we think of the total body, not just you just numbing out the vagina and penis, because if you do have a lot of that fighting sex, what it does is it does numb your penis and it does numb your vagina. You may get that feeling of like that quick release or whatever, but after it's usually kind of numbing. Okay, you feel like your vagina or your penis is kind of like raw and it's kind of just numb. Okay, that means that you didn't actually really experience anything. You just experience like an illusion or some sort of fantasy of it. So when people do have sex, I've noticed like men and women, they close their eyes. And a lot of times when men especially close their eyes in sex, they're usually fantasizing about something else. So when we're fantasizing about something else, it takes us out of our body and we become basically like some sort of astral body, and we're basically, our psyche is downloading into that sexual encounter a pornographic vision, probably for a man, like some sort of porn fantasy, or it could be for a woman. So when we're downloading from our iCloud of some sort of porn we watched on whatever show and late at night, maybe the week before, we're downloading that from our iCloud into our psyche and reenacting that through our physical body, what happens? Intimacy, it doesn't exist. That person you're having sex with, they could be anybody. And that's why we have sex with everybody, because we've gotten to that thing where we don't even really have a discussion, a collaboration with that unique person. So when I see like men who say that they've had sex with many women, they're all the same, is because usually they've been downloading from their iCloud the same porn video or porn, whatever, in all of those relationships, and they were not present for any of those sex partners, any of them. So when a man says they're all the same, it's because he was not present with any of them, and that's an emptiness. Even women, many men, and they're all kind of, I don't remember any of them. You didn't connect with one of them, and that's the great emptiness. That's because what happens is when you get into that arrhythmic pattern of, just basically you totally ignore that person, like they just don't exist, and you put on top of them a porn video of like some other female or something like that, what happens is you devalue, you dishonor that experience with that person. When you dishonor, we as women and men, we can feel it. We can feel when our sex partner is kind of just like, it becomes that we feel like we're used. Like an animal, just used to to get that release, and then that's that. And it's the emptiness, because over time we get desensitized to sex, and when we get too desensitized to sex, it's almost like we can't even like feel anything. And there's a lot of people, they can't even really feel any, even if they're with somebody that they really feel intimacy with, it becomes just like a memory of like so many times they did it, and that memory just plays out while they're having sex with this person. So that's why, the whole having sex with everyone, kind of like free love, it never works, because it becomes a bunch of memories that are stored within our iCloud of, our psyche. And then when we actually were to ever have a real intimate connection where somebody's really looking us in the eyes and not projecting their fantasies on us, but really looking at our innocence, wanting to preserve that and cherish that, we don't have the strength to actually hold that frequency of love. Because all of our memories in our iCloud are whirling around our psyche, telling us all these kinds of fantasies and all these pornographic on the couch and on the fridge. And then we're so wired to do that impulse. We don't have the strength to not be impulsive to do that. And that's why men who have done a lot of that culture, that impulsive, rabbit sex, when they actually have they're not receiving like we call an innocent, preserving, cherishing, and self-honoring, blessed relationship, is because they don't have the strength to hold it. They don't have the strength to control their habits. So they feel the smell of a memory or of some sort of, sex heat, and they just go run for that and do the fucking, and then kind of end up still in the same whirlwind of just this emptiness. Okay, so this is kind of, I wanted to talk about sex because we don't talk about sex. Okay, we love to draw pictures of vaginas and penises, as all college kids do. We love to, fantasize about sex and what it would be like. But a lot of people, in my perspective, is it ain't something to look forward to. That culture of sex is not something you want to look forward to. It's like, I'm excited to do that. That's not something you want to look forward to. That emptiness where somebody doesn't even really recognize your innocence or honor you. Okay, bless you. Have we ever thought, I'm blessing you? Or they're blessing me. I bless you through this sex or through this, this time together. And I bless you. That is what intercourse is. Okay? And for the woman especially, a man is blessing her. And when a man is not, a woman can feel it. And what happens is she feels like crap. Okay? Her self-esteem is actually like crap. But we cloak it with our defensiveness as women. We say, no, I'm fine. But really deep inside, we feel very dishonored by a man. And we can say broken. And we try to stay strong, but we do feel this pain. Okay? This pain. Okay? So, sex for humanity, okay, is a blessing, like angels bless us. And that's what we want to evolve into. That's kind of, if we had a goal, we want to become more angelic-like and less animal-like. That's human. We're not rabbits. We want to evolve into an angelic frequency. And sex, particularly for men, is a way, they're trying to use that to really create heat. Because sex creates heat, and heat is kundalini. Heat is, when you do breath of fire, you're creating heat. And why do we need heat? Because heat activates that kundalini, activates that heart chamber. It activates, you can say, that third eye or our visionary self. Okay. And when in this planet, especially right now, we are so depleted. We're so we have no heat going on. We have no furnace. So we're feeling like this cold depression. We're feeling like this stagnation. We don't know how to move forward. We don't have the clarity to move forward. We don't have creativity to move forward. So we're feeling like we're just in this cold, stale planet of our lives. Like nothing's growing inside of us and around us. Because we need heat. We need that furnace. Okay? Got to bring in some energy. Got to bring in some heat. Got to move some things around. So we're using the movement of sex, which is movement. It's like a dance. We're using that dance to basically feng shui ourselves. But sex is not feng shui. It's not used to feng shui ourselves into clarity or into greater creativity or to move some energy around that's getting stuck or stagnant, to kind of push it out. Whenever you have a furnace, you can push out energy. You can burn karma. You can burn addictions. You can burn bad habits. But sex, people are trying to use it for that purpose, but it's not working. Because without intimacy, none and nothing mystical can happen. I'm going to repeat that. Without intimacy, nothing mystical can happen. And everything that I've mentioned about the heat and burning through karma and about, the furnace, you need heat to kind of move some stuff around and get out that stale, cold energy out of you, okay? So you can get some feng shui going on, get some new energy coming in, freshness. We're not experiencing that in sex because there's no intimacy. Porn is not movement. Porn is domination and submission. Okay? Porn takes away the leadership over our body, takes leadership over our blessing, and makes us like this impulsive, bad luck human. Like, I just have bad fortune. No. We have to have leadership over our lives, or we are kind of in the impulse leads to just bad habits, and it leads to what we call like unfortunate life, because we say things, we do things impulsively, and then we get the effect of them, which is usually tenfold. So if we treat people like crap, we get a tenfold of feeling like crap. We not get crap, but we be feeling like crap. Okay, because that impulse is not the way. It's never been the way for us as humans. So with that, that patriarchal conclusion that's happening right now. I said 30 years of just women now having leadership over their body, and it's still a resistance. It's like a battle, okay, right now, and it will be continuing to be a battle. What's happening is this is the last little bit. So this huge, like, porn is everywhere. Like, you just fed to us, basically, at a baby, like porn and that kind of thing. It's the last little bit of that old model of basically how women were for thousands of years, just not in, this very pornographic thing, okay? But very much kind of like slaves, sort of at the mercy and sort of the fantasy of the man and what he wanted. He wanted a housewife who would cook and clean, and then she would, zack his penis at night, and she would do all these things for him, his beck and call, and she wouldn't say anything. She would never nag on him. Okay, we kind of think of that sort of like, like the 60s housewife, maybe. I don't know. Or no, the 40s housewife. But as we have leadership over our body, women, we are being encouraged by other women, by many women who are, recalling these ancient time of leadership, of a creativity, of sexuality, of our intellect, of even our businesses, our children, economics, politics, education. We are remembering that very quickly right now. And what that's doing is we're really starting to direct our sex habits. We're starting to direct what is intercourse and creating boundaries. And the more that we create boundaries as men, or as women, the more men are going to have to mature. Okay. And the very fact that we see like women saying like, he's very mature about sex, and, he's not like this or that. It's more of the woman. If the woman is to mature, meaning her view about sex and create boundaries and to basically direct it, not as in like I'm the authoritative person and you need to bow down to me. No, it's more like directed as in create no, and then yes, okay, create those fine line of no and yes. Basically, men are going to have to mature. No longer is it like a free-for-all where I can just, I'll have sex with you and then never call you again. That's not going to exist. The reason it exists because women don't understand. A penis and a vagina, a man is entering into her temple. Okay? A man is entering to her classroom. Okay? Her classroom. She gets to decide what they want to learn together. Now, if he wants to just have a free-for-all, I'm sure he can, find that. But as we as women continue to evolve moving forward on this planet, we're going to see less of this culture of just men just putting their penis in a woman's temple, going into her classroom, and they're just like, and then going into other classrooms and just kind of like doing that sort of thing. Because women are going to realize, I need a consistency. I need dependability. I need honor. Because that blesses my life. Anything else is just kind of it's a confusion. And blessing is not confusion. So if we feel confused in sex, it means that it's usually it's not intimacy. Intimacy does not create confusion. It actually creates the opposite. It creates this clarity. It creates this dialogue, this discussion. And the reason we're confused is because we have no discussion. And it's subtlety. It's not through talking. Like talk. No. Or, it's through subtlety. And that's intimacy. When you can literally have a dialogue, have a discussion with your partner, and you're not speaking. You're not talking. You're just literally, you can feel it. You can feel the collaboration that you want to have and that person wants to have. You can feel even the habits of yourselves. You can feel the learning experience that you and this person want to have. And that creates what we call a self-improvement or self-revelation. So anything, intimacy brings self-improvement, self-revelation. Okay, because teamship, discussion, collaboration, it always brings an improvement to our lives. That's why when we go to school or have, friends or go to community things, we always feel like we're getting smarter. We always feel like we're learning something new. It's because community, people coming together, intimacy, like classmates, or you're taking a poetry class or a pottery class where you're with people, or soccer or dance, you're always learning something new. Because intimacy is a blessing, and it encourages you to live a more blessed life. Okay? To be more talented and to have more trust in yourself. Like in soccer or dance class or poetry class or kundalini class or, surfing class. It encourages you to be more talented, to be more skillful, to get smarter, to care about yourself, to see the beauty in yourself. That's intimacy. Anything else is just, it's just like what we call that very unfulfilling fantasy, like a chocolate bar, like that chocolate bar that has like fake sugar. We keep eating it and we don't feel anything until we eat an actual exotic and regal chocolate, and then we realize, whoa, I only need to eat one my whole life, and I'm just like, this has so much reverence and respect. In my body, it actually feels nourishing. I can feel the nutrients of this chocolate as though I'm like inside Mother Earth creating it myself. That is reality. Anything else is just some sort of unfulfilling fantasy.